Hello, Facebook family. How are you today? I'm going to share this to my group real quick. There we go. Hi, my name is Dr. Shala Ezokoli. This is day 2 of my 3-day live stream series talking about self-love and Dr. Moms. I have a course coming up called Launch Your Happiest Life. It's a self-love course for Dr. Moms because one of the things I realized is that there is a real lack of self-love amongst us. And this is due to so many factors, the chief of which is somewhere along the line, we've taught to hate ourselves, deprioritize ourselves, and as such, not give ourselves the place we deserve, even in our own life, right? So tonight I'm going to talk about how mom guilt clouds our decision-making capabilities. One of the modules that I will be working on, I will be teaching on in this upcoming course, I'll share the link in the comments, is how to banish mom guilt from your life. How to, as a mother, never ever feel guilty again. Yes. Now, the word mom guilt is in itself problematic because that assumes a normalcy of mom guilt. Like, oh, something, you hear people talk about mom guilt. I look forward to a day when that is no longer a word that exists in our vocabulary. People are saying, oh, that was old English. There was an old English word called mom guilt, right? Now, but the thing about it is that people think it's normal, but it's not. Believe me, I used to be there. I believed I was never spending enough time with my children. I wasn't reading to them enough. Every time they were sick, it's like, oh my God, did I bring something home from the hospital? Every time my baby, I didn't get to breastfeed her for a long time, and for years, every time she got a cold, it was like, oh my God, it's because I didn't breastfeed her for a long time, and I would feel guilty. Guilty. I had a conversation with somebody who talked about her kids' grades dropped because she wasn't around to tutor her kids because she had to pick up an extra shift. She's a doctor in order to cover some family finances, and she was feeling guilty. I said, why are you feeling guilty? You're not a tutor. You're a mom and you're a doctor. That is 2 full-time jobs alone. So instead of feeling guilty about not tutoring your child, why not, in fact, take up another extra shift if possible and pay for a tutor who will come and tutor your children. So now I'm going to talk about 4 ways in which mom guilt clouds our decision-making capabilities. A lot of times we think that the mom guilt motivates us to do better, but if you really take a step back and think about it, it doesn't. It doesn't. Beating yourself up, trying to parent yourself into doing things does not work. Beating yourself up over things causes guilt, which leads to shame and denial and makes whatever problem worse. And in our second module, I will be talking about how to banish mom guilt from your life for good. Okay? So number 1, mom guilt constantly makes us question our decision-making capacities because we're always constantly makes us question ourselves. We're always asking, are we good enough? Am I good enough? Am I good enough? Because guess what? With that guilt feeling comes the feeling of needing to be perfect. But guess what? There is no such thing as perfection. Perfection is not required. Therefore, guilt is not necessary. Please give me some hearts or some likes or whatever it is so I can know you're watching. So we're constantly questioning ourselves when we're as a mother, you're operating from a place of guilt because you're questioning yourself. Am I doing the right thing? 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 And this is because you've measured yourself up against a perfect standard. And this standard, by the way, doesn't exist. It doesn't exist in real life. There's no actual person that meets up to this standard. But somehow or the other, a lot of us women, we've built up this perfect person. I guess it comes from a lifetime of constantly being told that you're not enough, you're not good enough, you're not pretty enough, you're not nice enough, you're not quiet enough, you're not loud enough, you're not fat enough, you're not thin enough, you're not enough. When you constantly hear the messages from the time you're yay high that you're not enough, guess what happens? You feel guilty about every freaking thing when you don't measure up to this perfect person that you have in your head. How about lay down the perfect person? In fact, take that perfect person in your head and set it on fire. Guilt is not necessary. because perfection is not required. You are enough. So is anything you take away from this is that constantly questioning yourself because you feel guilty about what you're not doing, having measured yourself up to a standard that really doesn't exist. Because guess what? Everybody is just trying to make it in life. The day I met an 8-figure millionaire who was spazzing out over some situation, I was like, we all have problems. We all have problems, right? So stop measuring yourself against this perfect standard that doesn't exist. You are enough. Dr. Mom, you are enough. You just need to get rid of that guilt and send it packing in shame. Okay, number 2. Mom guilt clouds our decision-making capacities by setting us up for perfectionism. And this is kind of following from number 1. We're questioning ourselves because we're set up for perfectionism, right? And if you're a doctor, you kind of realize that as a doctor, the stakes are very high. Very, very high. Because if you make a mistake, somebody could die. In fact, you may not even make a single mistake and people die. But guess what? You have 18 years to parent your children. They will be fine. So, you're never going to be a perfect parent, but you are the perfect parent for that child that you have, or you have adopted, or that you're looking after, or whoever you have a parenting capacity over. You are perfect for that child. If you don't believe it, just take it from me. Shola said so. No, I'm just kidding. But perfectionism is a losing battle because it's never satisfied. Think of perfectionism as a big monster, as a kraken with a huge gaping mouth ready to eat up every single thing. So because the minute you get up to here, you're like, oh, but guess what? Perfectionism is up there threatening to swallow you up. So you get up to here, but perfectionism is up here. It's a losing battle to try to be perfect anything. This is life. Life is a journey. And we never reach perfection. So you can lay down the crown of perfectionism and just live. Instead of perfectionism, how about you have a mentality of excellence? And this is my definition of excellence that you're not going to find in any dictionary. Excellence means, the Dr. Shola definition of excellence is doing the best you can with what you have. Boom, that's it. So maybe you work 24-hour shifts because you're an ICU doc or pediatric hospitalist. Oh my God, I was like, woo! Pediatric hospitalists, 24-hour shifts. That's what they do. Let's say you work 24-hour shifts, therefore you can't see your kids. And the time you're in the hospital, you can't see the child, right? Instead of feeling guilty about that, how about when you come home and you've got some rest, make up your mind, okay, you know what? We're going to do this thing and that thing and the other thing. It's not perfect. It's not perfect to have to spend 24 hours in the hospital. But if that's what you have, and that's what you have to work with, do the best you can with what you have. And in my course, I'll be going into detail of actually the psychology of guilt, how it arises, and how to deconstruct it. And remember, if you're my private coaching client, you don't pay for this. Everything will be sent to you. We start next week. Don't worry, you'll be kept in the loop, and we're good to go. You do not pay for this if you're my private coaching client. If you're not my private coaching client, jump on board. Because this course was going to be the best $500 you'll ever spend on personal development. Yes, and I can tell you that. Because it contains these are not things I just read in books. These are things that I've lived, seen, worked with my clients and all of that. So this is like real life experience being synthesized before your very eyes. This is not stuff, we can just read this in a book. This is not stuff you can read in a book because it's not in any book. At least not one that I've seen. And I've read many books. So number 3, how does mom guilt cloud our decision-making capacities? It leads to poor boundaries with children. So think about it. Guilt leads to, because most of the mom guilt comes from, I'm not doing enough for my kids. I'm not spending enough with my kids. I don't take them on enough vacations. I'm not spending enough time. I'm not spending enough money. I gave them McDonald's yesterday. I bought them pizza on the weekend. Guilt. It leads to poor boundaries with children. So for example, let's say you come home very busy shift. You know you're tired, but you force yourself to stay. I have to play with my child because I feel guilty that I've been out at work all day. But here's the funny thing. If they told you to stay at home with a child all day, you'll be miserable because that was not what you were meant to do. You were meant to go out and go to work and see patients and save lives and do whatever it is and then come back home. So don't feel bad because you're not a stay-at-home mom. Some of you were never meant to be stay-at-home moms. And, it's okay. You don't have to be a stay-at-home mom to be a good mom or parent. It leads to poor boundaries because the children now, okay, well, mommy, we want to play. No, mommy has to rest. I will wake up in 2 hours and I will come and play with you. Boundaries. And guess what? They get used to it. And that leads me to number 4, because if you parent out of guilt, your kids know. They know. Of course they know. Kids are not stupid. They're some of the smartest people on earth until they become adults, and then, okay, let me not go there. But kids are smart and they're very good psychologists. So if you use mom guilt as a weapon against yourself, guess what? You're handing that weapon to your children. And it's like, well, mom, you don't do that enough. The other day I had a conversation with my daughter. I said, well, I want to see more of my dad, blah, blah, blah. I said to her, you are 14. When he's home, go to where he is and say, hello, Dad, can we talk? I did not even let her finish her sentence of, oh, I want to see my dad more, he's at work. Then I was like, you like that phone you got, right? And that computer and this food that you eat and this roof over your head in this big house. Well, guess what? Somebody goes to work so that can happen for you. Yeah, I read her the right act. It's like, yeah, I'm like, no. People go to work, your dad doesn't have to sit down in the house all day looking at your face. Besides, when he's at home, you don't even go and meet him. You stay up there playing Minecraft or whatever. So all of a sudden, my daddy. I was like, honey. He said, well. But you see, because I don't parent from a place of guilt, when kids come up with that, I'm like, no, you can't use guilt against me because it's not going to work. No guilt lives here. And even when with them, I don't use guilt as one of my parenting tools. It's just not a thing. Because guilt doesn't produce good behavior. It just produces shame and denial. So if you really want to get into if you've been battling with mom guilt, I'm going to put a link in my to the course in the comments, and you can sign up. Just join us. And you'll see what I've got for you inside the course, Launch Your Happiest Life, because it's time for you to launch your happiest life, Dr. Mom. If you are not happy now, when are you going to be happy? You're not a spring chicken. If you're over 25, I'm sorry, in my book, you're not a spring chicken, because when I was 25, I was not a spring chicken. I'm 43 now. I'm definitely not a spring chicken. So you're not a spring chicken. You're not happy now. When are you going to be happy? Launch your happiest life, for goodness sake. And part of launching your happiest life, we talking about it from the basis of self-love, which is what we're going to, and a lot of things that cause us Dr. Moms to hide and not operate in self-love. The big one is mom guilt. It's like a lot of mothers are not happy, and it's not because you can't be happy. It's because you're just trying to use guilt as a motivator for yourself, but it doesn't work. It's never worked, and it's not going to start working now. Or maybe it did used to work. I mean, I've only been a mother for 14 years, so what do I know? Maybe before then it was working, but I've tried it. It doesn't work. And there's a way to you turn the guilt into something else, and that this is a whole 1 hour module, and I can't do that here. So We'll be doing that in the context of the Launch Your Happiest Life course. And we start next week, Tuesday. So, it behooves you to sign up now so that we can get, everything to you. And Monday, the 1st of March, Women's History Month, is the last day to sign up. I'm going to put the link in the comments. And please, if you have any other questions about the course, type them in here or send me a DM. I'm always in my own DMs because some fun happens there from time to time. So sign up for Launch Your Happiest Life. And like I said, if you're my private coaching client, you get that for free. So don't even bother yourself. Everything will be sent to you. You don't have to sign up, don't have to do anything. All the details and all that will be, sent to you. So just to recap, how does mom guilt cloud our decision-making capabilities? 1, it makes us constantly question ourselves. 2, it sets us up for perfectionism, and perfectionism is not a good thing. 3, it leads to poor boundaries with children. And 4, it gives the children a weapon to use at any given time against you. Why on earth would you want children to use guilt against you? No. It's enough. It's time to launch your happiest life. So join me tomorrow where I'll be going deeper into talking about you are not lazy, how perfectionism is a killer. Perfectionism kills you and you're not lazy. Remember, here's the thing. I always say this, you are enough. You are enough, Dr. Mom. You just need to maybe work on your self-love. It's like, oh, well, you're saying you're enough. Why do we need your course? Well, just to learn more. It doesn't mean you're bad. And it doesn't mean if you don't take my course, you'll never have self-love. That's not the case at all. But how about I help you reach where you want to reach faster? By the end of March, you're a totally new person. You're operating from a different wavelength of thinking. That doesn't include guilt, doesn't include imposter syndrome, includes total peace of mind, and, includes setting boundaries with them kids, no matter their age. So join me next week. Join me tomorrow for the last of my 3-day live stream series, and join the course. You get more of me, so that's definitely a good thing. So I will have a wonderful, wonderful evening, Dr. Moms. Feel free to ask me any questions, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.